The second shot was the one that made October realize. This wasn't a mistake. It was planned. Glass exploded above her as she dropped to the floor, her breath catching sharply in her throat. The sound echoed violently through the exhibition hall, followed by screams and the heavy thud of bodies hitting polished ground. Moments ago, everything had been calm. Now, it was war. October pressed herself behind a marble display stand, her heart pounding so hard it felt like it might give her away. Dust and fragments filled the air, making it hard to see clearly. Then something strange happened. In the middle of the chaos, someone was standing. Not running. Not hiding. Standing. Still. Her eyes locked onto him instantly. He didn't look like a victim. He didn't look surprised. He looked focused. Like this was expected. Like he had already calculated every second of what was happening. Another shot rang out. Closer. October flinched. But he didn't. That was when fear truly hit her. Not because of the gunfire, but because of him. Minutes earlier, the hall had been quiet, controlled, exclusive. A private exhibition reserved for people with influence and money. No noise, no crowding, just soft lighting, expensive artifacts, and quiet conversations that carried more power than they sounded. October stood near the center of it all, focused on her work. She wasn't there for the luxury. She was there for the artifact. A rare piece placed inside a secured glass case, dark, detailed, and clearly older than anything else in the room. She leaned in slightly, studying it. Her eyes moved carefully across the surface, tracing the patterns carved into the metal. At first glance it looked decorative, but she knew better. The structure wasn't random. There was intention behind every line. A system. Hidden. She adjusted her stance, narrowing her eyes slightly. "There's something wrong here," she whispered under her breath. The alignment didn't match the outer design. That meant one thing. There was something inside. That's when she felt it. A presence. Not loud. Not obvious. But heavy. Like someone watching without trying to hide it. October straightened slowly and turned her head. And then she saw him. Standing across the room. Still. Calm. Watching her. He wasn't part of any conversation. Wasn't pretending to admire anything. He was just there. And somehow, everything around him felt smaller. October frowned slightly. There was something about him she didn't like. Not his appearance, though that alone was enough to draw attention. Tall, sharp features, jet black hair falling slightly over his face in controlled disorder. A black suit that fit too perfectly. And that look in his eyes. Cold, focused, unmoving. It wasn't curiosity. It wasn't interest. It was assessment. And she didn't like being assessed. Their eyes met. He didn't look away. Didn't pretend. Didn't soften. He just held her gaze. October felt irritation rise instantly. She turned back to the artifact, clearly annoyed now. People like him were always the same. Watching. Judging. Assuming. Without understanding anything. She spoke quietly, her voice low but sharp. "If you're going to stare," she said, "at least try to understand what you're looking at." She didn't turn around. Didn't care enough to see his reaction. To her, he was just another arrogant observer. And she had no patience for that. Silence followed. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, everything broke. The sound of shattering glass tore through the hall. Multiple points. At once. October turned sharply. Too late. Gunfire erupted. Fast. Controlled. Intentional. People screamed. Guards reacted, but not fast enough. This wasn't random. This was planned. October dropped instantly, moving behind the nearest structure as bullets struck the walls around her. Her breath came fast. Sure. Her mind racing. Too many angles. Too many shooters. This wasn't something she could predict. Another shot hit close. Too close. She shifted slightly. And that's when it happened. A strong arm wrapped around her waist. Pulled her down hard. Her body hit the ground just as a bullet tore through the space where she had been a second before. "Stay down." The voice was low. Controlled. Right next to her ear. October froze. Then slowly, she looked up. And saw him. Up close. Closer than before. Everything about him was sharper now. More real. More dangerous. The lines of his face. The intensity in his eyes. The tattoo along his neck. Dark and bold. Impossible to ignore. He looked down at her. Not with panic. Not with fear. But with complete control. Like this situation didn't shake him at all. Like he was built for it. Their eyes locked again. This time, neither of them looked away. For a moment, the chaos around them faded. Just slightly. Just enough. October's breath caught. Not because of fear, but because of the way he was looking at her. Focused, intent, like she had just become important. Another round of gunfire snapped the moment apart. He shifted instantly, positioning himself between her and the open space, blocking her, protecting her. Without hesitation. Without asking. October didn't understand it, didn't understand him. But one thing was clear. He wasn't normal. And whatever was happening tonight, he was at the center of it. Then he spoke. Calm. Direct. Like nothing around them mattered. My name? Pause. His eyes didn't leave hers. Is Kaito Draven. Everything inside her dropped. The noise. The chaos. The fear. It all faded for 1 second. As realization hit her. Art. Cold. Unavoidable. Kaito Draven. The name people didn't say out loud. The man no one crossed. The one who controlled everything in a Prada district. Without ever needing to prove it. And just minutes ago, she had insulted him. Her stomach tightened. Not from fear of the attack, but from something worse. Understanding. She wasn't just caught in a dangerous situation anymore. She had just stepped, directly, into his world. The moment Kaito said his name, October stopped thinking. Not because she wanted to, but because her mind needed a second to catch up. Kaito Draven. The name echoed in her head louder than the gunfire around them. Before she could react, he moved. Fast. Precise. He grabbed her wrist, not roughly but firmly, and pulled her up from the ground. Move. It wasn't a suggestion. Another burst of gunfire tore through the hall, forcing her body to respond before her thoughts could. She followed him, her steps uneven as they pushed through the chaos. They didn't go toward the main exit. They went the opposite direction. Away from the crowd. Away from the obvious path. Kaito led her through a narrow side passage partially hidden behind a broken display panel. It looked like part of the structure itself, something most people wouldn't even notice. But he knew exactly where it was. That alone told her enough. This wasn't random. Nothing about him was. The corridor was dim, quiet, and completely separate from the noise behind them. The gunfire became distant. Muted. Like it belonged to another world. October pulled her wrist free the moment they slowed down. I'm not going with you, she said sharply, stepping back. Her voice was steady, but her chest was still rising too fast. Kaito stopped walking. Slowly he turned to face her. There was no anger on his face. No frustration. Just calm. The kind that didn't need to prove itself. You don't have a choice, he said. I always have a choice. Their eyes locked. October stood her ground. Even now. Even knowing who he was. She refused to let fear control her. Kaito studied her for a moment. Not judging. Not reacting. Just observing. Then he took a step closer. Not aggressive. But enough to close the distance. The artifact you were inspecting, he said quietly, you didn't finish your assessment. October frowned. What does that have to do with anything? Everything. She crossed her arms slightly, defensive now. I already gave my evaluation. There's nothing else to find. Kaito tilted his head just a little. Like he expected that answer. There is, he said. No, there isn't. There is. His tone didn't change. Still calm. Still certain. And that certainty bothered her. October shook her head. You're wrong. For a second. Silence. Then Kaito stepped even closer. Close enough that she could clearly see the detail in his eyes. Dark. Focused. Unmoving. You missed it, he said. Her jaw tightened. I don't miss things. Everyone does, he replied. Not me. Another pause. But this one felt heavier. More personal. Kaito didn't argue. He didn't push. Instead, he said something else. There's a mechanism inside it. October's expression shifted slightly. Not fear. Not yet. But attention. A hidden one, he continued. Designed to look like part of the structure. Her mind reacted before she could stop it. Running through the patterns. The alignment. The details she had already studied. No, she said slowly. I checked every visible point. That's the problem, Kaito replied. You only checked what was visible. That hit harder than she expected. Because for a brief moment, she wasn't sure anymore. She shook it off immediately. It doesn't matter, she said. Whatever you think is in there, it's not my problem. Kaito watched her carefully. It is now. Her eyes snapped back to his. I'm not helping you. You already are. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. His tone didn't rise. Didn't change. But the weight behind it increased. October felt it, and she hated that she did. She stepped back again, creating space. "I'm leaving," she said firmly. She turned and stopped. Two men stood at the far end of the corridor, silent, still, watching. They weren't holding weapons openly, but they didn't need to. Everything about them said the same thing. They were not there by accident. October slowly looked back at Kaido. He hadn't moved, hadn't even turned to check, which meant he already knew they were there. "Who are they?" she asked quietly. Kaido slid his hands into his pockets, relaxed, composed. "My people." October's stomach tightened slightly. "Silver Phone," he added. The name landed with weight. Even she knew it. Not details, not structure, but enough to understand what it meant. Power, control, influence that reached places it shouldn't. And he stood at the center of it. "They secured the building," Kaido continued calmly. "No one leaves without my knowledge." October felt the walls close in slightly. Not physically, but mentally. This wasn't just about escaping the attack anymore. This was controlled, contained, by him. She forced herself to stay steady. "I'm not part of your world," she said. Kaido looked at her, long, carefully. Then, he spoke again, and this time, his voice dropped slightly. "You're more connected to it than you think." Something in her chest tightened. She didn't like where this was going. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do." "No, I don't." Kaido took one slow step closer. "October isn't your whole story." Her breath caught, just slightly, barely noticeable. But he saw it. Of course he did. "That's not your concern," she said quickly. "It is," he replied. "Why?" Another pause. Then, "Because I don't invest time in coincidences." Her mind raced. Too fast. Too many questions. How much did he know? What did he know? And how? "You're trying to manipulate me," she said, forcing control back into her voice. Kaido didn't deny it. Didn't confirm it either. He just watched her. "You're trying to leave," he said. "Yes. But you're still here." She hesitated. Just for a second. And that was enough. "I'm not forcing you," Kaido continued. His tone softened slightly. Not kind, but quieter. More controlled. "I'm giving you a choice." October almost laughed. "A choice?" "Yes." She shook her head. "That's not a choice." "It is." "No, it's not." Another pause. Then, Kaido leaned in slightly. Close enough for his voice to stay between them. Full. Direct. "If you walk away," he said, "you go back to your normal life." Her eyes stayed on his. "And if I don't?" "You step into something bigger." Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. October felt it. The pull. The weight of what he wasn't saying. She looked past him briefly. At the corridor. At the men still standing there. Waiting. Not moving. Not interfering. Just watching. Everything about this situation was controlled. And she was standing right in the middle of it. "I'm not interested," she said finally. Her voice firm again. Final. Kaido nodded once. Like he expected that. Then he straightened slightly. And spoke one last time. Calm. Certain. Unshaken. "You're already part of this, October?" A small pause. His eyes locked onto hers. Unmoving. "You just don't understand how deep it goes." The building didn't look important from the outside. It stood tall in the Apreta district, made of dark glass and steel, blending into the skyline like any other corporate tower. No signs. No names. Nothing that drew attention. But inside, everything was controlled. October noticed it the moment she stepped out of the elevator. The air felt different. Still. Measured. Like every movement inside this place had already been planned. She walked ahead slowly, her eyes scanning the space. Clean floors. Smooth walls. Soft lighting. No decoration, no distraction. It wasn't designed to impress. It was designed to function. Behind her, Kaido followed at a steady pace. Not rushing. Not speaking. Just watching. Always watching. They entered a large room at the end of the corridor. And for the first time, October paused. The artifact was already there. Placed at the center of a wide, reinforced work table. Surrounded by tools. Precision instruments. Scanning equipment. Everything arranged perfectly. Like someone had prepared this room long before she arrived. October stepped closer without thinking. Her focus shifted immediately. Everything else faded. The fear. The tension. Even Kaido. All gone. There was only the artifact. "You set this up," she said quietly. "Yes," Kaido replied. She didn't look at him. You were expecting this. I was preparing for it. October frowned slightly. That answer wasn't the same. But she didn't question it. Not yet. She reached for a pair of gloves placed neatly on the table and put them on. Her movements were calm now. Steady. Familiar. This was her world. Not the chaos from earlier. Not the danger. This. Details. Structure. Logic. She leaned in and examined the artifact again. Closer this time. More careful. Her eyes traced every line. Every edge. Every small imperfection. And slowly, her expression changed. Just slightly. There's a misalignment, she said. Kaido didn't move. Where? She pointed. Here. And here. 2 points on opposite sides. Barely noticeable. Almost invisible unless you were looking for it. Kaido stepped closer. Not too close. But enough to see. And, he asked. October didn't answer immediately. She adjusted her position. Studying it again. Her mind moving faster now. Connecting pieces. Breaking patterns. Rebuilding them. This isn't decorative, she said finally. I know. No, she shook her head slightly. I mean the entire structure. Kaido watched her closely. October tapped lightly against the surface. A soft sound echoed back. Different. Hollow, but not completely. There's a second layer, she said. Kaido's eyes narrowed slightly. Show me. October reached for a thin metal probe from the table. Carefully. She pressed it into a narrow seam along the edge of the artifact. Nothing happened. She adjusted the angle. Tried again. Still nothing. Her jaw tightened slightly. You said you don't miss things? Kaido said quietly behind her. October didn't look at him. I don't. Then why didn't you find this before? She paused. Just for a second. Then. Because it's not designed to be found. That answer hung in the air. And for the first time, Kaido didn't respond immediately. October shifted her focus again. This time she didn't look at the surface. She looked at the pattern, the carvings, the flow of the design. And suddenly, she saw it. Not clearly, not fully, but enough. It's not just mechanical, she said slowly. Kaido stepped closer again. What do you mean? It's layered, she continued. One part is physical, the other part is patterned. Patterned how? October ran her fingers lightly over the surface, following the lines. They're not random. Of course they're not. No, she said more firmly now, they're coded. Silence. Kaido's gaze sharpened. Explain. October took a breath. They're guiding pressure points, she said. If you press them in the wrong order, nothing happens. And the right order? She looked at him briefly. Something opens. Kaido didn't smile. Didn't react. But something in his eyes shifted. Interest. October returned her focus to the artifact. This time, more careful, more precise. She traced the pattern again, mapping it in her mind, breaking it down into segments, testing possibilities, rejecting them, trying again. You're slow, Kaido said after a moment. October didn't respond. You're careful, he corrected. Still no response. But this time, there was a small change in her expression. Minutes passed, then more. The room stayed quiet, except for the soft sounds of her tools and the faint movement of her breathing. Finally, she stopped. Her hand hovered over the surface. 3 points, close together, but not obvious. This is the first layer, she said. Kaido moved closer. How do you know? I don't, she replied. I'm about to. She pressed the first point. Nothing. Then the second. Still nothing. Then, she paused, looked at the pattern again, and adjusted. Wrong sequence, she muttered. She reset. Tried again. Different order. Click. A soft sound. Almost too quiet to notice. But they both heard it. Kaido's attention sharpened instantly. What did you do? October didn't answer. She was already moving, sliding a thin panel along the edge. And slowly, the surface shifted. Not fully. Just enough. There it is, she whispered. The artifact had opened. Not completely. Just the first layer. But it was enough to confirm everything. Inside, there was structure. Hidden compartments. Small, precise sections designed to hold something. Kaido leaned slightly closer. What is it? October stared at it, her mind already moving ahead. This is just the beginning, she said. What do you mean? She looked up at him. For the first time. Not defensive. Not annoyed. Just focused. This isn't a simple mechanism, she said. It's a system. Kaido's expression darkened slightly. How many layers? October glanced back at the artifact. More than one. She carefully examined the intersection. And then, she saw something else. Small markings. Numbers. Patterns. Her eyes narrowed. These aren't random, she said. What are they? She hesitated. Just for a second. They're records. Kaido's voice dropped slightly. Of what? October took a breath. Transactions. Silence filled the room again. Heavy. Different now. She looked deeper. Following the lines. The sequences. Connecting them. This isn't just information, she said slowly. It's organized. How? By region, by movement, by control. Kaido understood immediately. Of course he did. Territory, he said. October nodded. And money. Another pause. But this one carried weight. Real weight. Kaido stepped back slightly. Thinking. Calculating. This could expose everything, he said. October didn't disagree. It's not just one group, she added. It's multiple. Kaido looked at her again. Which means? October met his eyes. It affects all of them. The room felt smaller suddenly. Tighter. More dangerous. Kaido exhaled slowly. Not fear. Not stress. Just realization. This changes the balance, he said. October looked back at the artifact. At the open layer. At the patterns inside. And then, something clicked in her mind. Not the mechanism. Something deeper. Her expression shifted. Not curiosity anymore. Understanding. This wasn't built to hide information, she said quietly. Kaido watched her. What was it built for? October looked at him. Directly. This wasn't built to protect secrets. A small pause. It was built to start a war. The room felt tighter now, heavier than before. The artifact sat open on the table, its first layer exposed, but October was no longer looking at it. Her attention had shifted. Something in the air had changed and she could feel it. Kaido hadn't moved much since her last words, but his silence carried weight. It wasn't empty. It was deliberate, like he was deciding how much to say next. October crossed her arms slightly, grounding herself. You said it affects multiple groups, she said. Then take it to them. This has nothing to do with me. Kaido's gaze stayed on her. Calm. Focused. It has everything to do with you. Her expression hardened. No, it doesn't. He didn't argue. Instead, he walked toward a sleek console along the wall. With a few controlled movements, a screen came to life. Lines of data appeared, records, timelines, identification logs. October frowned. What is that? Your history, Kaido said. She didn't move at first. Then slowly she stepped closer. I don't need you to show me my own life. You don't know your own life, he replied. That hit harder than she expected. You don't get to decide that. Kaido didn't raise his voice. Look. October hesitated. Every instinct told her to walk away, to refuse, to shut this down before it went any further. But something deeper pushed her forward. Doubt. Small, quiet, but growing. She turned her eyes to the screen. At first, everything looked normal. Records of residence, education, work history. Clean. Organized. Nothing unusual. Then she noticed it. A gap. Her eyes narrowed. What is this? Kaido stepped beside her. Not too close, but close enough. Look at the timeline. She did. There were missing entries. Not just 1 or 2 years. Small sections where nothing was recorded. No address, no documentation, no trace. That's not possible, she said quickly. That's a system error. It's not. It has to be. Kaido shook his head slightly. Systems don't forget entire periods of someone's life. October's chest tightened. She stared at the screen, trying to make sense of it. Then it was removed. Yes. By who? Kaido didn't answer immediately. October turned to him, her voice sharper now. By who? He held her gaze. Someone who didn't want you to be found. Silence fell between them. October looked back at the screen, her thoughts racing. This doesn't prove anything, she said. Records get corrupted all the time. Not like this. She shook her head. You're reaching. I don't reach, Kaido said calmly. I confirm. Her jaw tightened. You're trying to manipulate me. Kaido didn't react to the accusation. Do you remember everything? October blinked. What? Your past, he said. Do you remember all of it? Of course I do. Clearly? Yes. All of it, he repeated. She hesitated. Just for a second. But it was enough. Kaido saw it. Memory fills gaps, he said. It creates continuity where there isn't any. October looked away. You're twisting things. No, he replied. I'm showing you what's already there. She turned back to the screen, searching again, hoping she had missed something. But the gaps were still there. Clear. Unavoidable. Her breathing slowed, but it wasn't calm. It was controlled, forced. This doesn't change anything, she said quietly. It changes everything. No, it doesn't. Kaido stepped closer, his voice lowering slightly. You think you've been living a normal life. I have. You think you were never part of this world. I wasn't. You think everything about your past makes sense. It does. Another pause. Then Kaido spoke again. It doesn't. October's chest rose sharply. Stop. You didn't? Your identity isn't random. I said stop. It connects to something bigger. I said stop. Her voice broke slightly at the end and she hated it. Silence followed. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Kaido studied her for a moment, then stepped back slightly. Giving her space but not releasing the pressure. October turned away from the screen, her mind spinning. Nothing felt stable anymore. The certainty she had relied on was cracking, piece by piece. This is a setup, she said, more to herself than to him. It has to be. Then explain it, Kaido said. She couldn't. And that was the problem. A soft sound interrupted the silence. Not loud, but sharp enough to cut through everything. Kaido's head turned instantly toward the far wall. October noticed the shift immediately. His posture changed, not dramatic but precise. Alert. What was that? She asked. Kaido didn't answer right away. He moved to another panel, bringing up a different display. This one showed external feeds. Movement indicators. Tracking lines. October stepped closer again, her unease growing. What is that? She asked. Someone is watching the building, Kaido said. Her stomach tightened. Who? Not random. That doesn't answer my question. Kaido's eyes scanned the data quickly. They're organized. Careful. Keeping distance. October's voice dropped. You mean they're tracking us? Yes. A chill ran through her. This is because of the artifact, she said. Partly. Partly? Kaido looked at her. Also because of you. October stared at him. No. Yes. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to. She shook her head. I'm not important enough for that. Kaido's gaze hardened slightly. You don't know what you are. That line settled deep. October turned away again, pacing slightly now. Her thoughts were no longer steady. Too many pieces. Too many unknowns. Who are they? She asked again. Kaido didn't give a name. But he said enough. A group that doesn't like losing control. October frowned. And this information threatens them? It threatens everyone. She let out a slow breath. Then why haven't they moved yet? They're waiting. For what? Kaido looked at her again. For confirmation. Of what? That you're here. Silence. That answer landed harder than anything else. October felt it. Not just fear. Something deeper. Realization. She stopped pacing. Turned back to him. You're saying they're not just after the artifact, she said slowly. No. They're watching me. Yes. Her voice dropped. Why? Kaido held her gaze. Because of where you come from. October's chest tightened again. You keep saying that like it means something. It does. Then say it clearly. Another pause. Kaido stepped closer, but this time his tone was different. Still calm, still controlled, but more direct. Your identity is connected to a lineage that didn't disappear, he said. October shook her head immediately. No. It was hidden. No. Protected. No. Erased. Stop. Her voice was sharp again but weaker now. Kaido didn't stop. You were never outside this, he said. October's breathing became uneven. That's not true. You just didn't know. That's not true. Kaido's voice lowered slightly. But it is. October stared at him, her thoughts clashing, her emotions rising and falling too fast to control. Everything she knew. Everything she believed. It was all starting to break. Kaido held her gaze. Unmoving. Certain. You were never outside this world, he said quietly. A small pause. Then. You were hidden from it. The silence didn't last long. A sharp tone cut through the room. Not loud but urgent. It came from the control panel along the wall, blinking in a steady rhythm. Kaido turned immediately, his focus shifting from October to the screen. "What is that?" October asked. Kaido didn't answer right away. His eyes scanned the display quickly, reading the data as it updated in real time. Small red indicators appeared across the building layout. Then more. And more. His expression didn't change much, but something in his posture tightened. "Security breach," he said. October's chest tightened. "Where?" "Multiple points." Her eyes widened slightly. "At the same time?" "Yes." That wasn't normal. Even she understood that. Kaido moved fast, activating another layer of the system. Camera feeds flickered across the screen, hallways, entry points, restricted areas. All showing the same thing. Movement. Controlled. Precise. "They're already inside," October said. Kaido nodded once. "Yes." Her voice dropped. "How?" Kaido didn't respond immediately, but his silence said enough. This wasn't forced entry. This was access. A heavy impact echoed somewhere in the building. Distant but strong enough to feel through the floor. October flinched slightly. "That wasn't far." "No," Kaido said. "It wasn't." Another alert flashed across the screen. Then another. Kaido shut the system down with one swift motion and turned toward her. "We're leaving." October didn't argue. Not this time. They moved quickly out of the workspace and into the corridor. The calm, controlled atmosphere from earlier was gone. The building felt different now, tense, unstable. Kaido led the way, his movements sharp and efficient. He didn't hesitate at any turn, didn't stop to think. He already knew where to go. October followed close behind, her senses alert. Every sound felt louder now. Every step echoed. Then, footsteps. Ahead. Kaido stopped instantly, pulling her back with him. He raised a hand slightly, signaling silence. Two figures moved across the far end of the corridor. Not rushing. Not searching blindly. They knew where they were going. October's voice dropped to a whisper. "They're not guessing." "No," Kaido said quietly. "They're not." The figures passed without noticing them, disappearing into another section of the building. Kaido moved again, changing direction. "They're cutting off exits," October said. Kaido glanced at her briefly. "You noticed?" "It's obvious," she replied. "Not to everyone." They kept moving. Another turn. Another corridor. This one narrower. More confined. The lights flickered slightly overhead. October's breathing stayed controlled, but her mind was racing. Too organized. Too clean. This wasn't just an attack, it was planned with detail. "They know the layout," she said. "Yes." "All of it?" "Yes." That answer confirmed what she was already thinking. "This is internal," she said. Kaido didn't respond. But he didn't deny it either. They reached a junction where three paths split off. Kaido slowed for half a second. Then chose the right. October noticed something. "Wait." He stopped. Looked at her. "That path," she said, pointing to the left, "it loops back toward the central access." Kaido's eyes narrowed slightly. "How do you know?" "I mapped the structure earlier," she said quickly. "If they're controlling movement, they'll expect you to take the fastest exit." "And this one?" he asked. "Less direct," she said. "But harder to predict." Kaido held her gaze for a moment. Then, he changed direction. "Lead." October didn't hesitate. She moved forward, taking the left path. The corridor narrowed even more, the walls closer now. The air felt heavier. They moved quickly but carefully, avoiding open spaces. Another sound echoed behind them. Closer this time. "They're tracking movement," October said. "Yes." "Then we need to break pattern." Kaido watched her for a second. Then nodded. They turned sharply into a side passage, barely marked. The lighting here was dimmer, almost hidden. It didn't look like a main route. Good. October slowed slightly, scanning ahead. "No cameras," she said. Kaido checked briefly. "You're right. They won't expect us here." Not immediately. A sudden noise came from behind them. Footsteps. Fast. October's heart spiked. "They're getting closer." Kaido didn't look back. "Keep moving." They reached a sealed door at the end of the passage. October stopped. "This isn't an exit." Kaido stepped forward, pressing his hand against a hidden panel along the wall. A faint click sounded and the door shifted slightly. A concealed mechanism. Of course. The door opened just enough for them to pass through. Inside. A tight, narrow stairwell. Dark. Quiet. "This leads down," October said. "Yes." They moved quickly, descending the steps. The sound of movement above them faded slightly but not completely. They'll find that door, October said. Eventually. That doesn't give us much time. It gives us enough. At the bottom of the stairs, another corridor stretched ahead. This one was different. More industrial. Less polished. A backup route. October realized what it was. Emergency path, she said. Kaido glanced at her. Yes. They moved through it quickly, the distance between them and the attackers finally starting to widen. After several turns, the corridor opened into a loading access area. Empty. Quiet. For now. October slowed, catching her breath slightly. We made it out of their pattern, she said. Kaido nodded once, scanning the area. But his expression didn't relax. Not even slightly. October looked at him. You knew this was possible, she said. Kaido didn't deny it. You prepared for it. Yes. But not like this. Pause. Then. No, he said. October stepped closer, her voice steady now. This wasn't random. I know. They didn't just get in, they moved like they belonged here. Yes. They knew where to go, how to move, what to block. Kaido's gaze hardened. Yes. October held his eyes. That means someone helped them. Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. Kaido looked back toward the direction they came from. His mind already moving. Reconstructing. Replaying. A breach like this, October continued, it doesn't happen from the outside alone. Kaido didn't respond. But the truth was already there. He turned back to her slowly. His voice low. Controlled. But sharper now. This wasn't an attack. A small pause. His eyes locked onto hers. It was a setup. The place they moved to was quiet but not comfortable. It wasn't meant to be. It was temporary, controlled, and stripped of anything unnecessary. A fallback location. Clean surfaces, dim lighting, reinforced structure. Safe enough to think, not safe enough to relax. The artifact sat on a solid metal table in the center of the room. Unfinished. Waiting. October stood in front of it, her eyes fixed, her mind already moving. The events from earlier hadn't slowed her down. If anything, they had sharpened her focus. The noise, the attack, the truth about her past, it all pushed her deeper into the only thing that still made sense. Structure. Pattern. Logic. Behind her, Kaido watched in silence. But this time something was different. He wasn't studying her like a problem. He was observing her like an answer. October placed her hands on the table, leaning slightly forward as she examined the open layer again. The inner markings were clearer now, but still incomplete. There's more, she said. Kaido didn't question it. How many layers left? Enough to hide something important, she replied. She picked up a fine tool and adjusted a narrow panel inside the mechanism. Her movements were precise, controlled. No hesitation now. You're faster, Kaido said. I'm not guessing anymore, she replied. What changed? October didn't look at him. I stopped assuming it was simple. She traced the internal structure again, following the lines of the encoded pattern. This time she didn't just look at the design. She read it. The markings weren't random. They were structured. Ordered. Each symbol connected to another, forming sequences that repeated in controlled intervals. It's layered coding, she said. Kaido stepped closer. Explain. It's not just locking something physically, she said. It's protecting information through pattern recognition. Meaning? You don't just open it, she said. You understand it. Kaido watched her closely. And you do. October paused. Then nodded once. She pressed a sequence of hidden points along the inner frame. Not random. Not hesitant. Calculated. Click. A second shift inside the artifact. The internal structure adjusted, revealing a deeper section. Kaido's eyes narrowed slightly. You're certain? Yes. October leaned closer, her focus tightening again. The newly exposed layer was more complex. Smaller markings, tighter spacing, more detailed patterns. This is the real lock, she said. What was the first one? A test. Kaido didn't respond, but he understood. She scanned the markings again, her mind moving faster now. The sequences connected differently at this level. More deliberate. More controlled. Then she saw it. Not the pattern. The meaning behind it. These aren't just records, she said slowly. Kaido's attention sharpened. What are they? October didn't answer immediately. She followed the sequence from one section to another, mapping the connections. Routes, she said. What kind of routes? Movement paths, she replied. Controlled ones. Kaido stepped closer. Explain. She pointed to a section of the inner layer. This marks flow direction. These symbols track entry and exit points. For what? October looked up at him. Resources, she said. Silence. But it wasn't empty. It was heavy with understanding. She moved to another section. And this, she continued, these are distribution markers. Kaido's voice lowered. Money? October nodded. And control zones, she added. Kaido's expression darkened slightly. October stepped back slightly, taking in the full structure now. This isn't just one operation, she said. It's multiple systems layered together. How many? Kaido asked. All of them, she replied. That answer shifted everything. Kaido turned slightly, his thoughts already moving ahead. If this is accurate, he began. It is, October cut in. He looked at her. She held his gaze. Steady. Certain. This connects everything, she continued. Different groups, different territories, different movements. It's all tied together. Kaido's voice was quiet now. That means control isn't separate. It never was, October said. Another pause. Whoever built this, Kaido said, understood the entire system. October nodded. And whoever controls it. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Kaido finished it for her. Controls everything. The weight of that settled into the room. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just real. October turned back to the artifact. There's more, she said. Kaido didn't question it. She worked faster now, her hands moving with confidence. The hesitation from before was gone. Every movement had purpose. She adjusted another hidden section. Pressed a sequence. Twisted a concealed lock. Click. The final layer shifted. The artifact opened completely. Inside. More markings. More data. But clearer now. Structured. Complete. October stared at it. Her eyes scanning rapidly. Connecting everything. Understanding everything. This isn't just corruption, she said. Kaido stepped beside her. What is it? October exhaled slowly. It's control, she said. She pointed to multiple sections. These show how resources are redirected. Another section. These track who benefits. Another. These show who's losing. Kaido followed her movements. His expression didn't change much. But his focus sharpened. This isn't balanced, he said. No, October replied. It's manipulated. Yes. Another pause. This creates imbalance, Kaido continued. It creates power shifts, October corrected. Kaido looked at her. For who? October met his eyes. For whoever understands it. Silence again. But this time. Different. Kaido studied her for a long moment. Then spoke. You understood it. October didn't respond immediately. She looked back at the artifact. At the system. At everything it revealed. Then she said quietly, yes. Something shifted in the room. Not the environment. Not the situation. The dynamic. Kaido wasn't looking at her the same way anymore. Not as a risk. Not as a liability. But not as someone beneath him either. He stepped closer. Not to control. Not to intimidate. But to stand beside her. You connected it faster than my network, he said. October didn't look at him. They weren't looking for patterns. And you were. Yes. Another pause. You're not what I expected, Kaido said. October gave a small, dry response. That makes two of us. There was no tension in that moment. Not the kind from before. This was different. Balanced. October stepped back from the table. For the first time since entering the room. She wasn't looking at the artifact anymore. She was thinking beyond it. If this gets out, she said, everything changes. Kaido nodded. It doesn't just expose people, she continued. It shifts control. Yes. October folded her arms slightly. Her mind was clear now. Not confused. Not uncertain. This is why they attacked, she said. Yes. This is why they're watching. Yes. A small pause. And this is why I can't walk away, she finished. Kaido looked at her. Carefully. You still can, he said. October shook her head slowly. No. Silence. I thought I could stay outside this, she said. You can't. I see that now. She looked at him. Not uncertain anymore. Not resisting. If I leave, she continued, this doesn't stop. No, Kaido said. It just moves without me. Yes. Another pause. October took a slow breath. Then. She made her decision. If this war is coming, she said. Her voice steady. Clear. Unshaken. I choose where I stand. The room was quiet but not calm. Nothing about what was coming felt calm. A long table stood at the center, surrounded by figures who carried influence without needing to prove it. No raised voices. No sudden movements. Just controlled attention directed toward one thing. The information. October stood on one side of the table, the decoded data laid out in front of her. Not as scattered notes, not as raw markings, but as something structured, clear, and undeniable. Kaito stood beside her. Not in front. Not leading for her. Beside her. That alone changed how the room felt. Across from them, the others watched carefully. Their expressions remained neutral, but their focus was sharp. Every detail mattered now. Every word carried weight. October didn't rush. She didn't speak immediately. She let the silence sit. Let it build. Then she moved. She adjusted one section of the displayed data, aligning it so everyone could see clearly. This is where the imbalance begins, she said. Her voice was steady. Not loud, not aggressive, but firm enough to hold attention. She pointed to a sequence of marked routes. These paths look standard, she continued, but they're not. The distribution is uneven. No one interrupted. She shifted to another section. These records track movement but not honestly. There are gaps. Redirects. Hidden transfers. A slight pause. Then, someone has been controlling the flow without being seen. The room remained silent but the tension changed. Subtle. Noticeable. Kaito didn't speak. He didn't need to. This wasn't his moment to lead. It was hers. October stepped back slightly, allowing the full structure of the data to be visible. This isn't a mistake, she said. It's a system. Her eyes moved across the room, meeting each gaze without hesitation. Everything here is connected. Movement, resources, control. It's all been redirected over time. A longer pause. Then, whoever set this up didn't just want access. She let the words settle. They wanted power without being noticed. One of the figures across the table leaned forward slightly. Not aggressively but with interest. You're certain this is accurate? He asked. October didn't hesitate. Yes. Another voice followed, quieter but sharper. And you decoded all of this? Yes. The room shifted again. Not outwardly, but internally. Respect was forming. Not given freely. Kaito watched her. Not with control. Not with expectation. But with recognition. She wasn't standing here because of him. She was standing here because she understood something no one else did. October moved again, this time isolating a specific section of the data. This is where the pattern breaks, she said. Her finger traced a sequence. Here. And here. She looked up. This isn't just manipulation. It's theft. The word landed heavily. No one argued. Another figure spoke. From who? October didn't answer immediately. Instead, she adjusted the display again, revealing a deeper connection. This section overlaps with multiple routes, she explained. It pulls from different sources and redirects into one controlled path. Her gaze sharpened slightly. That path leads to a single point of control. Silence. Then, understanding. Kaito stepped forward slightly but still remained beside her. Which means, he said calmly, someone has been operating above the system. October nodded once. Yes. The tension in the room shifted again. Sharper now. More focused. One of the men leaned back slightly, his expression tightening. Then this isn't just internal mismanagement. No, October said. It's deliberate. Another pause. Then, who? Someone asked. October didn't answer immediately. Instead, she turned slightly, looking toward the entrance. And right on time. The door opened. The man who stepped in didn't look rushed. Didn't look concerned. He walked with the same controlled confidence he always carried. But this time, something was different. The room wasn't aligned with him anymore. He stopped when he saw the setup. The data. The attention. The shift. Kaito's voice broke the silence. Perfect timing. The man's expression didn't change much, but his eyes moved across the room, taking everything in. What is this? He asked. October stepped forward slightly. Not aggressively, but with purpose. This is the truth, she said. The room went still. She didn't raise her voice. Didn't push. She simply turned the display toward him. Everything you redirected, she continued, everything you controlled without being seen, it's all here. The man's gaze hardened slightly. You're making assumptions. October shook her head. No. She pointed to the data. I'm connecting patterns. Pause. Then. You positioned yourself where no one would look, she said. You used existing routes, existing structures, and shifted them slowly. Her voice remained calm, but not invisible. The room held its breath. Kaido stepped forward now, not to take over, but to confirm. You had access, he said. You had trust. The man didn't respond. October finished it, and you used both. Silence stretched. Long. Heavy. There was no dramatic reaction. No sudden movement. Just realization. The man looked around the room. But this time, no one was on his side. The shift was complete. Kaido's voice lowered slightly. Step away. The command wasn't loud, but it carried finality. There was no resistance. Not because he agreed, but because he understood. The position was gone. The control was gone. The room didn't celebrate. Didn't react. It simply adjusted. October stepped back. Her role in that moment complete. But not finished. Not even close. Kaido turned slightly toward the others. This changes how things move forward, he said. No one argued. No one questioned. Because it was already clear. Control wouldn't be handled the same way anymore. Not blindly. Not through hidden shifts. October stood beside him. Not behind. Not separate. Beside. She didn't claim power. She didn't ask for it. But she had already changed how it worked. Kaido looked at her briefly. Not as someone he had brought into this world, but as someone who had stepped into it on her own. You see it differently, he said. October met his gaze. Yes. Another pause. And that changes everything, he added. She didn't respond. She didn't need to, because it already had. The room began to clear slowly, conversations low, controlled, purposeful. No chaos. No noise. Just movement. A new structure forming without needing to be announced. October looked at the data one last time. Then away from it. This wasn't about survival anymore. It wasn't about being pulled into something she didn't understand. She understood it now. Clearly. And more importantly, she knew how to move inside it. Kaido stood beside her, his presence steady. Not controlling. Not demanding. Aligned. The world outside hadn't changed yet. But it would. Because the system had been exposed. And the balance had shifted. October didn't step back. She didn't hesitate. She stepped forward. Not into his shadow, but into her own position. A place she chose. A role she defined. And a future she would shape. She didn't enter his world to survive. She entered it to rewrite the rules. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting stories.